Us right now is Steve Calk. He is Trump's senior economic advisor and CEO of Federal Savings Bank. Good to see you, Steve. Thank you so much for joining us. Your takeaway on Trump leading now in these battleground states that are so critical to him actually winning this election.
Sure. Look, I think that Mr. Trump's message is getting across to the American people. I think he's got a clear-eyed approach to leadership, and the way he's communicating that is really resonating with American voters. And you're seeing that in the narrowing of the polls, and you're seeing that in commentary from folks on the street.
You know, as you look at the landscape and you're seeing Donald Trump mature as a candidate, how are you finding his economic and growth plans? Are they hitting with a resounding thud? Are they right on target? How are people responding to them?
Look, I think if you understand Mr. Trump, he is a guy that gets up every day and goes to work. I mean, you better lace up your shoes if you're going to go to work with that guy every day. And I think when he delivers his tax policy, his thoughts around deregulation, his thoughts around unleashing energy, and also, you know, trade renegotiation, they hit squarely at the middle of what Americans and folks that are both producing jobs and want to create jobs care about.
But look at this report from the Committee for a Responsible Budget that came out with numbers yesterday. They say that they've got the price tag on a fiscal guide to the 2016 election. When looking at Donald Trump's plan, they say the plan would increase debt by $5.3 trillion.
Yeah, I think most folks, especially folks like me that are kind of good at math, would think that that's fuzzy math. I think Mr. Trump has spelled out, as the economic advisors have laid out, at 3.5%. We have complete economic recovery and terrific growth. At 4%, we're reducing debt. And I think between the four key message points of Mr. Trump's policies, we're going to see not only a complete recovery, not only a growth in jobs, but more people getting on the tax rolls, a self-paid plan, and an increase in the economy, and debt being paid down.
But to conservatives who listen to him, who are on the fence, sometimes he sounds like a screaming liberal. When he came out and said, hey, Hillary Clinton's infrastructure spending, I'm going to double it. You know what? That's government spending. We've doubled the national debt in the last 8 years. We're at $12 trillion. He's not talking about cutting entitlements. I mean, neither is Hillary Clinton. She's talking about actually expanding the entitlement program.
Right?
Younger, you know, Medicare for more people, not touching Social Security whatsoever. But he talks like when it comes to spending on some issues, he might as well be a Democrat, quite frankly.
Well, that's an interesting point taken. Look, Mr. Trump has made it very, very clear that there will be no cuts in Social Security or Medicare reduction. I think that's
that
very,
doesn't
very
make
important.
some conservatives happy.
Because everybody knows where the money is.
If I'm worried about the solvency of Medicare, which is going broke in 12 years, and then he doesn't, I know it doesn't win elections. No. But nevertheless, when you talk about I'm going to spend $500 billion on infrastructure spending.
But when you do the math and you can show how you can gain 75 basis points in GDP growth through tax reduction, 75 basis points in deregulation and money saved there, as well as unleashing American energy and renegotiating our trade policies.
And rolling back regs.
Exactly correct. How you're going to pay for it. You got $3 trillion in regulatory expenses that need to be rolled back.
That's what you said. They're not looking at the growth numbers that will come out of like a 15% corporate tax rate.
Yes, and the only thing that's hard for me to judge is when you say, I'm going to do this to cut taxes, I can mathematically assess it. How do you assess the ability of Trump administration to cut these regulations? Because this is something that everybody who's running for president always says, I'm going to cut regulations.
Hillary's not saying it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe one in a row. But what is Donald Trump going to do to really earnestly cut these regulations?
So I think he has spelled out a plan very, very clearly of both getting involved the public sector as well as the private sector coming together, and they need to give the committee the specific guidelines that they believe are most burdensome and can most quickly and immediately be rolled back to create immediate savings. We all know, especially post-Dodd-Frank, we saw a ton of consumer protection and banking regulation, for example, come into effect that has cost hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, and the pendulum swung too far. We need to. Have you applied for a mortgage in the last 3 years, 5 years? I mean, you better bring a phone book of paperwork. It has gotten ridiculous. You can verify everything that you need. You can carry out safe and sound lending, and you can protect consumers without the insanity that currently exists in the marketplace.
And then there's Obamacare, which is, of course, really expensive for a lot of families.
Well, I just want to go back to the polls for a second. One of the important issues is going to be the get out of the vote. You know, when we see these battleground states tighten in the polls, a lot of these are still within the margin of error. And, you know, places like Nevada, Vegas is very heavily Clinton, those more urban areas. areas. What is the plan for Trump to really motivate people to get out and vote in this election?
Well, that is a phenomenal question, Leah. Look, at the end of the day, Mr. Trump is out there every single day talking to voters. He is rising the spirit and the motivation of that silent majority, and they are going to come out and vote. The bottom line is he is not taking time off. He is not resting. This man is moving at the speed of light, talking to real Americans.
Yeah.
He sees himself as a real American who gets up every day. He certainly does. It is spectacular.
Real quick, Steve, before you go, the Fed didn't do anything yesterday. Right. What do you're running, obviously, a major bank. Was it the right move not to do anything? What's your take on the Fed right now?
Yeah, I think raising interest rates would have been a big mistake right now. I think we have a very soft underbelly to our economy, and unless we roll out some of these changes that have very specifically been outlined by Mr. Trump, I think we remain on very, very soft ground.
All right, we'll leave it there. Steve, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Steve Calk joining us there.